Welcome, everybody, to the big show. Today, we are going to talk about why service managers are in a broken system. We're going to give you some insights on how to reverse that and change the system, change the overall approach, and what we see to be the magic in that. Also, Christian here is going to give everybody a lesson on how to be a magician's assistant. And there's some really fun stuff in the news today, I would say.
Really good, relevant stuff in the news.
That and much, much more coming up right now on Service Drive Evolution. If you're doing something like some sort of performance, like say a magic show. Have you ever done a magic show?
Oh yeah, where there's the assistant.
Yeah, like say you're cutting somebody in half during the magic show.
Yeah,
and you require like the assistant to help, and because it's it's an illusion of some sort. Nobody's really getting cut in half. We all know that, but the illusion of somebody being cut in half, and then you have the assistant who maybe like right at the right moment as you're putting the saw through, pushes their legs to the other side of the little casket, or I don't know, whatever. Don't ask Christian to be the assistant.
Yeah, that's probably really good sound advice. I blew it, didn't I? I blew my.
What were you thinking about?
Some of the information reviewed earlier in the day.
It's so funny that so we just did our first leadership experience here in the library. This library, believe it or not, is built for this experience. Yes. It's the whole reason we built it, was for this leadership experience. And we just did our first one, and we rehearsed parts of it, right? We talked about, like, we've been working on this thing we've been working on it for a while. Also, Christian is the one that's helped me with the thing the most. Like, we went and did versions of it, although you thought like 70% of the content's different.
It was well, maybe not different, but it was enhanced.
Punched up. Yeah,
yes, punched up is a really good way to describe it.
So there's a part at the very, very end of day 2. That's the end of what happens here in the library, and then we go somewhere else.
Which is about
and we can't really talk about it. We're talking about it in code.
Yeah.
Because unless you're here, there'll be a couple people listening to this that were there will understand exactly what we're talking about.
And they probably didn't catch it. There was something wrong at the time, but now that they hear this, they'll know that there was cues missed.
And so I said to Christian, like at the break before that, or maybe even at lunch, I was like, when I nod at you, do the thing.
Didn't I nod back instead of doing anything?
No, you didn't even look at me.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he gets up and he leaves. Like, I don't know where you went. You must have went to the bathroom or something.
Maybe.
And then I kind of started to get nervous because now I was going to have to break character and be like, hey, you in the back.
I'm a terrible
assistant. Can you do the thing that's just supposed to automatically happen?
Which is kind of funny because if you think about the first few that we did out in the wild, I feel like I was a really good assistant. Like I was managing.
You were not.
I was managing.
What did you do before every one of them? Which you tried to kind of do this time too, in a sense. But Chris, I think we've talked about this, right?
Yes.
Have we told them about this?
But not for a long time.
Right before it would start, like literally 2 minutes before the workshop would start, I'm at the front of the room. People are sitting down. They're literally just waiting for me to cut the music and go. Christian would walk up and tell me the most off-limits joke you could imagine.
Super inappropriate.
Yeah. And then walk away.
Smiling.
And now I'm supposed to, not feel guilty that I just laughed at the most, like... Because I think that's the thing that you and I both like is like, you shouldn't laugh at it because it's not okay.
Yeah.
But then it's funny because you laugh at it and it's not okay.
Right.
We share that similar
There's no
thing,
doubt that
right?
we share that.
We're messed up.
Good.
The other thing I would say about the leadership thing is I think our people were as affected as much as the people in the room, and they're supposed to be working the event.
Yeah, so
How did everybody become a part of? How are you staring off into space when you're supposed to get ready with the saw and the casket?
yeah, I had some stuff going on. Like it was
Oh.
it's funny no
Yes,
matter.
and that's how it ends. We saw somebody in half.
Yes. But not really. Well, except that one guy.
His legs will grow back.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was great. Good feedback from the people, and yeah, it got pretty deep. So I think if anybody has an opportunity to go to that thing, you should check it out.
August is bought out.
Yes, and now we're
Somebody
opening
bought
up
it out
September.
for their company. Immediately after their people, like 2 days after that event, he's like, I gotta bring everybody from all over the world.
That's gonna turn out to be a really good investment. I have the feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Okay, what's in the news?
Okay, so I've got a couple of things. I'm gonna try to do this in a really strategic order. So first, this is more just of a fun thing. They did a survey of mechanics and said which are the trucks that you would definitely not buy. So it's like the stay away from list, and some of them were pretty interesting.
Trucks you would not buy?
Trucks you wouldn't buy.
Do you have a list of trucks you wouldn't buy? You're
Yeah.
a Chevy guy?
No, I had a Ram.
Yeah, you almost killed me in that. I remember.
That one I almost
well.
killed you in. I'm probably the one that I'm least interested in is F-150s or Ford, their truck, although it's a best-selling truck in America. But number one on this list of trucks to stay away from, the 2003 to 2005 Ford Super Duty. It's a diesel
Really?
engine. And essentially, yeah, it says that it was Ford's they were the first years for the 6.0 diesel, and Ford was trying to get ahead of the soon to come emission standards, and then they pushed engines out quickly, which then basically affected the quality. So I was really surprised to see that at the front of the list. Next, number two was 2006 to 2013 Rams. Now my Ram was a 16 and I never had any issues with it, so maybe that's why I feel differently about Rams. This truck I feel like leaves a lot to be desired. Number three, 2005 to 2010 Nissan Frontier. So that one I don't like that much as far as like my list of ones that I wouldn't want. And then this truck, a couple other ones. This one surprised me a lot. The 2000 to 2006 Toyota Tundra
Is bad?
is on a bad list, but
Wow.
they got way better after 2006. Chevy Colorado, and then number 8. I feel like this is going to surprise you a little bit. 2020 to 2021 Jeep Gladiator is on list of trucks to avoid. And I
Really?
thought that was this is
I
why
loved my Gladiator.
So not only did you
Wasn't
love
mine
it,
like a 20?
it was a 2020, and this
Never had any issues with that thing, and it had power. The technology in it was great. I thought
Yeah.
that thing was great.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, the stuff that they complained about in that are things that you and I remember having conversations about. We were surprised how good this thing was. They said it was loud and the ride was bad compared to.
Oh well, I had it jacked up. It was like a monster truck. Remember?
But even
So
with
the
those
ride
other
was
wheels
very
on,
soft.
yeah, I thought that the ride was amazing, and actually compared to other Jeeps, it was quiet. So I thought it was really interesting, their feedback, that it was bad. And whenever I was in that Jeep, I thought, man, it's pretty well done. And you never had any issues with it.
It was great.
Of it.
I love that truck.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Someone's really happy somewhere. All right. Next on my list is I think you had heard about this already, but Volkswagen has stunned the automotive industry with the announcement of a $5 billion investment in Rivian.
Well, I mean, they got money and they got to buy something, and so they have the infrastructure to figure that out for them. So they could end up buying a majority of it. I bet you they keep buying up stock until they own a majority of it. But I mean, it's no joke for these startups. Like they're all these electric startups are struggling, and Elon Musk almost went under doing Tesla, and he's still,
Didn't Toyota bail him out?
yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this was a good move for Volkswagen because they were lagging on the electric side, and I wonder if they're going to get some technology share out of this to put into their cars.
Maybe, but
And maybe
I bet you it
absorbing.
goes the other way.
Yeah, it might. But I feel like there's probably That's a really nice lifeline for Rivian. I never driven one of those before.
They're everywhere in my neighborhood.
I see a lot on the road.
Yeah. But they, strategically, these car companies, even the Cybertruck is everywhere here. There's a street by me where there's 5 Cybertrucks. There might not be 5 Cybertrucks in some cities.
In some
And
states, probably.
yeah, and on a street up from me, there's 5 of them. So, a lot of the influence for pop culture and social media and TV shows and, it's here, right?
Right.
Here in New York. So you're going to see a lot of them here.
Yeah, so there's no doubt about that. It's kind of like you would guess by driving around Los Angeles that Tesla's #1 car company in America, and you would guess by being in Northern California that Subaru is the #1 car company in America. So it's all
Not Northern California, like Washington.
and Oregon. Don't forget Oregon.
Yeah, but that's not Northern California.
Oh yeah, you should see Northern
San
California.
Francisco, you'd think Tesla.
It was Subaru everywhere.
In San Francisco?
No, north of San Francisco.
Oh.
I'm talking about like
I guess I
Red
consider
Bluff.
San Francisco north.
Like the 5 right where it hits the border of Oregon.
Yeah.
Lots of Subarus there. So this next
We
thing.
call it, you're not from Washington, so it's okay. But if you want to sound like a local, you don't call them a Subaru.
Subi?
No. Scooby.
Scooby-Doo?
They're Scooby-Doos.
Okay.
But you don't have,
Yeah,
you don't have to wear a Seahawks jersey and call Subaru Scooby-Doos, but you could. You'd fit in.
All right, and then this last article is my favorite that I found, and out of the automotive news. And so when we talk to a dealer and they're struggling, and we get to their service department, let's say that they're losing money, what does the dealer or GM usually tell us they need more of?
Traffic.
I need more traffic. And we usually find out
they need more traffic, and then second, they need advisor training. Those 2 things.
Yeah, those are the most common
Ends
things.
up, not to break anybody's heart, neither one of those are ever the case.
They are not effective long-term solutions. However, this study that was done is super interesting, and I'll just read the title of the article to you. Study looks at how well dealerships answer service department phone calls, specifically inbound calls for customers trying to set appointments, and the test was a check engine light. So they studied 2,716 automotive dealerships spanning 34 brands between January and May. Now, I've got a lot of information to give you, but the first and probably
the test is they're calling to make an appointment, and they want to see how far out they're booked?
Yeah, so how hard is it to make an appointment, right?
Does it tell you how far out they were booked?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But the first thing I want to say is, if you had to guess how many of these people, what percentage hung up without setting an appointment, what would you guess? When that's the goal of the study.
10%?
25%.
1 out of 4?
1 out of 4 did not get to set appointments. So
we need more traffic.
Yeah, so if you need more traffic, just get the 25% that hang up, and you'll be in really, really good shape.
So they were trying to make an appointment.
Yes, they were trying
and
to
a
make
quarter of the time they couldn't even do that.
They couldn't even make an appointment.
Jeez
So so they rated the manufacturers on a scale.
None of
1
these
to
people
10.
better be in our coaching group.
Yeah, so they didn't give us the dealership names, but they did give us the brands. So the brands that did the best in terms of, they graded it on hold times, ease of making an appointment, and offering of alternative transportation. Acura was the #1 brand, followed by Mazda, Lexus, Infiniti, and Volkswagen were the top 5. Now,
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I would not have guessed Infiniti, although they don't have a lot of business right now, so I think that it's easy to get an appointment in there. And then the bottom 4, see if there's anything that seems like it has a theme to it. Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Chrysler, Polestar, Genesis, and Lincoln.
Genesis, really?
So Genesis shocked me.
Wow.
So I think a thing with Genesis, they're supposed to offer you a loaner car, and I would assume that they'd be pretty easy to get a hold of too.
I mean, most of those are C-tier brands.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are Chrysler products. Fiat, Alfa, and Chrysler, all Chrysler.
You want to watch something funny?
Sure.
Me getting in a Fiat.
Is there a video of that?
No, but we could make one.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I think we should.
If we could find a Fiat.
What about a smart car?
Oh, that'd be even funnier.
Yeah, my neighbor's got a smart car. I could ask him if we could borrow it for a video. He'd probably give it to me. But yeah, so wow, this stunk. The best score was a Porsche dealer that got a 70 was the highest scored. But yeah, so we're 1 out of 4 times we're not even setting an appointment. But it just says, well-run service departments focus on increasing customer loyalty and the first service experience to drive that loyalty is the customer's phone call to schedule an appointment. Vehicle customers who find scheduling service difficult vote with their feet by moving to another dealership or an independent shop or even just getting rid of the car. I think all that's
Funny,
true.
right? So we're saying a quarter of the time they wouldn't even make an appointment, but we're also in that they're saying that it wasn't that great of an experience even when they did.
Even so, that's exactly right.
Okay. So what is the state of affairs in the automotive industry right now as it pertains to departments inside of a dealership? Where are we at?
So
Break down the news for us.
Yeah, so the way that I would classify the average dealership is that there's a lot of silos, which means that you got the sales department, and even within the sales department, you have 2 silos because you've got new cars and used cars.
How are new and used cars doing?
Not as good as they were a couple of years ago. So
in every area, in volume and gross and all of it, right?
all that stuff, yes, it's had a slide.
There's inventories are on the ground. Their cars are readily available for purchase, which means flooring expenses going up, profits are going down.
Interest rates are going up on those flooring expenses as well.
Oh yeah,
so,
it's a perfect storm.
It's a mess.
It's a perfect storm. Okay, so now if you and I decided we wanted to, I don't know, what could we decide we want to do? What's something we want to do? Go to the moon?
Yeah.
Let's do something a little simpler.
Okay. Do you want me to pertain this to service?
Let's say you and I want to open a sandwich shop.
Okay. I like sandwiches.
Yeah, I immediately thought eating all the profits.
Yeah.
Okay. So we would want to we'd want to know how the finances in a sandwich shop work. We'd want to know what our rent is.
Yep.
We would want to know what our margins are. We would set prices according to our margins.
That's right.
Would we not?
Of course.
We would set prices understanding what our expenses are in relation to our head count, in relation to our cost of food, all of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Spoilage, return customers, all that stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And so we would have a pretty good idea of what we wanted to do. Now, if we started a sandwich shop and we said, hey, we want to make, we want to run this sandwich shop and we want to earn, let's just say we want to earn $10,000 a month and we're going to be 50-50 partners and we're going to split that. So you're going to make $5,000 a month in passive income and I'm going to make $5,000 in passive income. Now, then we would build the thing, right? It'd probably take us 6 months to figure out how much we should be charging, what we should have on the menu, and fine tune the menu to where we wanted to be. But if we wanted to own a sandwich shop and make $10,000 a month, we could probably do that in 6 months, right?
Maybe a little less if we really pay close attention.
Yeah, but very obtainable.
For sure.
And if you kind of pay attention to what I just did right there, is I reverse engineered an outcome.
Yeah.
Right. So I said we want to make 10,000, and so we would reverse engineer what that outcome was. It would take some dialing in and a few months of history and building traffic and doing all that stuff, but we could reverse engineer that outcome.
Very
right?
much so. Yeah, wouldn't be leaving a lot to chance.
Okay. So now, what if we wanted to start a sandwich shop, but we didn't know anything about our expenses?
We'd be in trouble and we would guess.
Well, what would be our chances of the $10,000 a month if we didn't understand our expenses, our cost, any of that?
Yeah, we would have literally less than 1% chance of success, I would say.
We'd get lucky at best if we
Right.
could, right? We'd have to get lucky for it to work. Okay. Now, in most service departments, how many service managers understand the financial statement as it pertains to their department?
Okay, so I'm gonna guess 50% have seen a financial statement, 20% understand it.
Yeah, it's pretty common when people come into our coaching. Most of the time, they have seen it, but they don't understand it,
Yeah,
right?
they haven't dived in on that puppy.
Okay, so uh, most of the training in a dealership goes to the sales department. Most service managers aren't trained. In fact, one of the things we hear more than anything is, "Hey, we're going to sign up for coaching as soon as we find a new manager." And it's like,
Right?
"Well, send us the manager you got. Like, how much have you trained them?" Like, it's amazing how effective people are when they actually have the knowledge, right?
Yeah, and they almost you almost unleash them, and they do amazing things on their own that you never thought they were capable of.
Okay, so now we're going into a time. This is always cyclical. It always, ebbs and flows. But we're going into a time where fixed ops is going to, in the next couple of years, be way more important than anything else because it's going to save dealerships that aren't, there'll be some that survive and some that don't, but it's very clear right now we're going into some sort of downturn as it pertains to car dealerships. Also, just the industry changing with Tesla's market share and all the things
That's
that are
right.
going on. If you wanted to increase your fixed absorption and your service manager didn't know how to read a financial, how to price things, why they price things, and was not reverse engineering an outcome where he said, "Hey, I want," because there's, in my opinion, I say this all the time, there's the two most important things are profitability and the customer experience. That's it.
And they're complementary.
Now, you cannot reverse engineer either one of those if you don't understand what you're doing. Because if you are just focusing on the customer experience and you don't understand the financials, you're going to give it all away.
That's right.
And if you don't understand the financials, you're not going to be able to design a customer experience that makes sense. It's just not going to make sense. And in most situations, that's the case. Now, the other thing that I have observed is just a little observation, but I usually can see through the minutia or whatever, is service managers are never reverse engineering an outcome. They are just managing a business model that has been there for 100+ years, and they're defending it and holding on to it like herpes. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, they're not starting off the month going, "I need to be 30% net to gross, and I need to be the best CSI or have a great retention or customer experience or whatever. And now whatever that takes, we're going to do that." They completely reverse it. They don't understand how to get there, and they're defending a model that is not effective anymore with today's consumer. It's not effective anymore with the expense structure you need. I mean, there's ways to do things that you can do it with less people and be more effective, have better systems and all that, but they're not reverse engineering. They're just existing. In a lot of car dealerships, the fixed ops managers, parts and service are just existing. They're playing defense and they're not playing offense, and they are set up to fail in every scenario. I mean, just think about when somebody starts reverse engineering the outcome, how quickly they get there.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take 60 days. It doesn't take 90 days. It happens almost
But
immediately.
they have to have the knowledge and the understanding of how to get there, or it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, and to feel like they're responsible for the results, I think is another thing that comes into it. Because a lot of service managers right now just think that they're there just to control it, but they don't have they don't have any impact on the outcome.
Well, it's really hard to commit to an outcome when you don't understand the recipe,
Well,
right?
yeah, so what they're told is it's got to be 10% in gross over last year, which
Makes no sense.
makes no sense at all, but it's probably one of the most common forecasting things I see.
But they'll be up 15% in expenses and up 10% in gross. And so they gave away more, right?
Yeah, because they didn't have another game plan for they didn't reverse engineer it, so they're playing from behind at the second part of the month. So
And so I really am seeing more and more in this time that service managers are just set up for failure. And we're going to have service managers let go. There's going to be more turnover. And none of it makes any sense. We're not giving them the tools and the training. We're not surrounding them with other managers that are succeeding and doing things at a high level. And we're not reverse engineering an outcome. We're hoping on a prayer that somehow we get lucky and we end up having higher fixed absorption. And there's just no way in any scenario that that is a realistic plan.
That's exactly right.
It's a joke. And I feel bad for them.
I do too. The amount of service managers that get fired and didn't know the game that they were playing is just staggering to me.
Yeah.
They didn't have a chance to win.
It's sad because, truthfully, when they get fired, it affects them for a long time.
Yeah, they take it into their next 2 jobs at least, right? And then the other thing, I wish that people could see it when they come into our thing and they come and they learn all this stuff. The success rate is extremely high.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
We're just reverse engineering it.
Yeah,
it's
but
simple.
there's not too many managers that we meet that aren't capable. Like, they almost get it and want to be left alone because they're like, oh, now I see what I was supposed to be doing the whole time. And you almost have to reel them back a little bit.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Give them a little bit of credit.
And don't ask Christian to be your wingman.
Yes.
Or assistant, magician's assistant.
That's right.
Because he will stare into space and then get up and go to the bathroom.
At the worst possible time.
Go for a walk.
I feel like I can improve at this craft.
No, I'm getting somebody else.
Dang
I can't.
it.
You're too important anyways. That role is it's not for you.
Yeah.
You got bigger things to do.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
But it is going to hurt our expenses to have somebody standing around
just because I can't manage 10
for
minutes
a 15-minute
2-day
thing.
My gosh.
So funny. We do have a big warehouse down there with books, and they're going as quick as we're getting them.
Yeah, we
thought we were caught up, and now we're not caught up.
Yeah, so we're selling as money as we're shipping. It's fun. It's fun to see the sales happening like they are, and it's great to hear the feedback from the people that are reading the book. And like a couple of people tell me they just can't put the thing down, and it's 2 volumes. Like, it's a serious read, and people saying like, I just can't stop. This is exciting to me.
No, the book is fun. You can tell too that it's written. It's got my sense of humor. Because it's very serious, but it's also kind of cheeky.
Yeah. There's a couple of lines in there that I think I've actually heard you say before. Funny lines. But yeah, there's definitely there's personality in that thing.
On a serious note though, if you're a service manager that is struggling and you need a roadmap and you haven't been trained on the financial statement and you want to be successful, get with your leadership and let's hop on a strategy session and let us help you. That we want, just for the fact that there's so many good people in our industry that are being tortured by lack of training, and the answers are out there. You just got to seek them out. And so we're here to help with that. And we'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.